Either by reflected light,
Alacağız abi yarın.
signals, or an
Yazacak
amplifier.
kağıdı.
Evet.
Atacağız sonra.
You
You can show us the plant.
Ta-da! The plant!
Hold it close.
Flower, beautiful example.
Yesterday, when we were coming down,
No, hold it close.
hold it close.
oh, this close?
Right under, right
Right
under
there.
your, there.
Hey.
Perfect.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Yesterday, when we were up at St. Paul's Cave, I was noticing these trees, all in bloom. And I was just knocked out because this is the tree. It's family Fabaceae, or the pea family. The genus is Quercus, C-E-R-C-I-S. And in Southern California, we have Quercus occidentalis, which is western redbud. And this is the Mideastern cousin, which is probably, I'll look it up once I get home, probably Quercus orientalis.
Plakasını boş ver. Tanıyamadık. Yani
It's a wonderful plant.
Hadi abi söyle.
It's called western redbud in the United States. It's also called
Boş ver, sen tarif
Flowering
et.
Judas.
Onlar ona göre
we can
baksınlar.
talk about that a little later. But in spring, but just before the flower itself blooms, the stems and branches are covered with little tiny red, blood red buds. So the tree looks like it's bleeding, which gives it its name Flowering Judas. Because in medieval thinking, or medieval mythology, or whatever you want to call it, trying to understand the world around them, many medieval thinkers thought that this particular tree, the reason why it had the little drops of red blood, was because that's the tree on which Judas hung himself. So it was named after him, Flowering Judas. But what's interesting in terms of Southern California and the relationship between the two trees, Orientalis and Occidentalis, is that for the Tongva people, the indigenous people of the Los Angeles Basin, even though this particular tree does not grow in the basin, it grows up more toward the Fort Tejon area up in the passes. In spring, when this is in full bloom, the shamans and the priests would go up into the mountain area, into the passes, and trade with the Indians of that area, bring back branches of this to be carried by young girls in their puberty rituals. So you can imagine the young girls walking through the village and going out to the ritual area carrying branches of these. That must have been a beautiful sight. It can also be used for other purposes. You probably noticed the beans, the long beans of the tree. Those are all edible, and at least the ones in Southern California. Probably these are too, undoubtedly. And the stem itself, these thin, wiry-like stems, were used for really high-quality basketry, dyed with some of the, very much like when we saw the wool being dyed. We were at the carpet place. For very fancy, fine work in the baskets. So it's a wonderful plant, and it just, I got very excited seeing it up in the mountain pass. There was beautiful flowers anyway. So this is Pohosha Ahin in Tongva, Quercus occidentalis, but in Botanese, and Western redbud in common English, and Flowering Judas in medieval thinking. That's it, folks. Bye now.
Thank you.
In deciding the prayer times. So I thought I'd bring this along and show you guys how it was done. There's also another little compass. I don't have it with me here, but because I know which direction Mecca is. The whole temple piece by piece to Berlin, which is where it is. And the Pergamene people now would like to have it back. And when we get up there, we will
Necropolis in Pergamon.
talk about. So we might do some inhaling later on. anytime.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like coming here in the summer these days. In our times, 40 years ago, this was okay. There were hardly any buses going up the hill.
The green olive harvest.
But it's difficult
was in October.
because of the main city
Black olive harvest.
under this
White
hilltop to the right.
In December.
Şu yolu bir yapamadılar. Çok çok ayıp biliyor musun abi? And all this hill in the front is where there's more of Pergamon on Greco-Roman walls still standing. Now look to the left, there you see it in between the hills. Can you see the extension of the aqueducts? Because they drilled through the mountain like a tunnel, and that's just the extension in the valley crossing the two hills.
There it is.
They have dug out huge tunnels. It's coming up to the hilltop, and it's the new water works department. This is like a little dam here now in front. You're seeing that water for today's world. Look at this magnificent view on the left now. Look at the hill to the right where we're going. How do you like the view?
Yeah, what's the echo?
And the echo. You ain't seen nothing yet. We'll get to the best point. This area in front, all of this, is called a Haroon. They buried heroes in Haroon. And that's where the word hero comes from. So most of the successful kings have been buried here in this part of the city. You can see the pottery vases in front, kind of buried in the ground. If you remember that beautiful marble vase, the two we saw in St. Sophia, and I told you they were from Pergamon, from the days of Lysimachus, one of the generals of Alexander the Great. They were found in the vicinity here as well, by the same way. If you look at this magnificent entrance into the city, which is being restored a little bit, you can see all kinds of little stones here and there. It's like people stuck them in so they would stay with the rest of the wall, the way it seems. But you can see all different levels of history here, like Hellenistic as well as Roman. And of course the smaller irregular stones from the Hellenistic period versus the magnificent section here to the left, which is all Roman, 2nd century AD, making the corner section. And I think it is the way we saw in the 2nd century AD curvature wall of that Odeon theater in Ephesus. It's about the same kind of workmanship, how they were placed one on top of each other without mortar. And as we continue climbing up this way, hazy like that, behind Josh, that's the Aegean Sea. We're about 25 kilometers inland, and we are, when we reach where you see the marble shining at the top, where Trajan's temple is located, that's 376 meters, and that's well above the 1,000 feet mark. And to find the city located so high, so inland, will be what I will discuss with you when we reach that marble location, when we will have the best view of the town when we look down. But it's at the same time very interesting to look at where the gentleman is at the top and you follow those. So this is like we're in an interim area with the two
One of the
doors.
steps again, that would be the main
And in
street.
case
Temples to
they
the
would
left.
be using those
and
catapult
wealthy,
balls to knock the walls out,
wealthy,
to open
citizens on
holes
the right.
through the walls so they could pour into the city. That was one of the tactics they used. That's they would try that other than this this system of knocking the door out, because the door would be probably the weakest part of the defense mechanism. They could burn it down as well, okay? But if they would do all of that and they, let's say, got into this part of the city, they would see the next door in front. By the time they were trying to knock that out, the guards on the towers would easily kill these at the bottom. Other than, of course, spears and arrows, they used to fry people with olive oil by pouring down burning olive oil. Okay, so they had their minor weapons of mass destruction as well. All right, we go up. It's easy climbing. Come to the other side.
The main entrance, this would be the main entrance to the city, and the entryway would be curved to prevent the use of a battering ram on the door. We're going up the main street, dividing the city into two. On the main street, you see two levels of towers and gates, because if they got into the outer gate, they could still be very easily repulsed and killed before they got into the invading armies, before they got into the inner gate.
After whom the city of Athens was named, had her sanctuary here in the 3rd century BC. That, of course, is the Hellenistic period. And it's a natural hill. But where that temple of Trajan is, where we're going to, is not a natural hill. The substructure was built by the Romans. They extended it from the end of the cliff to the outside and built on it because they had run out of natural hills by the times the Romans came here. And of course, emperors had to have their own temples. So that's why I will take you down to that substructure, which was part of my DVD, if you will remember. The beautiful sequence of arches, one after the other, is where we will see. So this is the Temple of Athena, and from the second story of the Temple of Athena, if you imagine a second story to it, and you have these colonnaded streets, and you go up to the walls on the right, all of this would be the library of Pergamon, with 200,000 scrolls. The main rival to the one in Alexandria, which is where papyrus was coming from to Pergamon for the trade. And of course, when it reached to a level of 200,000 scrolls, the people in Alexandria, they stopped the exportation of papyrus. It sounds like our times, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like these embargoes that are placed on certain nations for certain reasons. And so when they stopped the importation of papyrus, they really counted heavily on this library here. So they had to invent their own work, which was called the parchment. And parchment, remember, like the museum in Konya I showed you with the gazelle skin. These are very, very light skins of animals they processed on which they would write. So that is a local production, the parchment. And this reached to a maximum of 200,000 scrolls. When the one in Alexandria was burnt down by certain tribes, the big library, And of course, Cleopatra was a patroness to that library. She was very upset. What did Mark Antony do? He made sure he came this way and grabbed the 200,000 scrolls and gave it to Cleopatra to make her feel better. So this is how they made up in those days when things came at massive scales. Now this hole behind you is one of the many storage areas where catapult balls were kept. They have found in this particular hole 13 different sizes of catapult balls, which they were throwing on the walls. So this is one of the storage areas, and you can see a part of the wall to the palace of the kings in the front as the exterior wall. As we continue a little bit further up, please, to get to the... If the coin stops at the top, then the wish will come through.
Never up, never in.
And this is like the coins you throw into the Trevi fountain. Something similar. Now, quite recently, they put this iron railing at the bottom. Because the local boys are tying a rope here and getting down and collecting the treasures of King Priamos.
Look at this. Look. Oh, never up, never in.
All right?
That would have been good,
Let's
though.
go.
So what is it really?
What was this?
Well, this basically is a 2nd century AD water well where they collected like a reservoir. And at times they've also used it for like a wheat silo, like we have in our times, for storing wheat. And this pillar in the center is a measuring column, and that's what it does, okay? To tell them how much is left inside. That's basically what it is. But look how beautifully they have placed stone on top of stone, where some
It's quite symmetrical.
some branches are growing out of. A little further, Vicky, so at least it hits the top. Well, before we spend it all, we better...
Panorama view from the top of the Acropolis, looking north.
DVD, in there for a little while, I talk about a Roman thermal town called Alianoi, and that is some 20 kilometers in that distance, in that direction, Alianoi, where the water is still gushing into the pools of the Roman thermal town at 40 degrees right now. And that is unfortunately going to stay underwater because they're building a dam over there as well. And all it needs is $5 million to build a wall to separate it from the rest of the dam area to save it. Turkey's unfortunate position and financing brings us to this point because there's need for water, and we have 28,000 plus old tumuli like this with diggings that needs attention, that needs excavation, that needs saving. So all of these, when it mixes with politics, becomes an issue. But that is where the town is, in that direction, behind the village you are seeing on the other side of the hill, by the way. And that is where the Izmir governor, I heard, comes from time to time checking the area, and he just goes in that pool. The officials just make sure no one comes in while he's in there, okay? turns off all his phones, and then he dips in there and comes out. But this is how Turkey is. On one hand, you will see people tying these white ribbons onto the tree branches to find the right husband, which has got nothing to do with the Quran. They think it's a religious application because they don't know exactly what's in the Quran. Okay? They don't study it. They just do what they hear from the local teachers, from the local imams. And how well do they know the religion is the next question. But this wall is a fantastic wall, everyone, which I will show you in a minute. And let me explain to you how the water got up to this level, right in this corner. The water comes from two directions. The one you saw on that side, there was one coming from this way as well. One is 44 kilometers, the other one is 51 kilometers away by the use of aqueducts and tunnels. All going to the same water spring. The way you see them placed one on top of each other. And if you come over here in a triangle, you have it like steps. Like you can, they're like this, okay? At least it gives you the impression that you can hang on here and stand up here. That tells you that you can, yes, climb this wall. Up to where? Here. And the rest is straight. And the guy is looking at you down below with this bucket of olive oil. You made up all this way, you came up, you think you could get in. Hey, that's smart of you, but that's the end of the line, okay? So we continue this way through. That's how they got the water up. Why they built it so high is the next explanation. As the days of our lives continue.
I'll never live it down.
Not that you want to. And here's Frank's tree.
Everyone,
It's the Temple of Trajan.
if you decide to stand or joyous between these two pillars, and you put your cameras on that pillar base there, all turned on. So all I do is click, and I'll get your group pictures for each one of you. How's that?
Oh, okay. What are we putting on
But we'll do it chop chop. Put the cameras. Have a look, please, to this beautifully restored portion. You can tell when we go closer to it which is new, which was old as well. But from here, the best angle is to look at the pediment. And besides enjoying the beautiful Corinthian capitals, you're enjoying the Ionic depiction, like breasts with Medusa heads. Look at the combination. It's hard to find that, okay, at the top. Yeah, it becomes the breasts. And sometimes becomes like the bull's heads, representing male fertility as well. So those are the kind of figures which are basically the introduction of the pagan belief into the 12 Greco-Roman gods. And now, if you look to the left here, you can see a large U-shaped area, which is the sacrificial table, where they sacrificed several thousand animals in the name of the Emperor Trajan. They had this actually built when they needed to get a new land. They needed permission from the Emperor himself, which was called the Neopolis. So this Neopolis was given March 121 is when this was finished. So they had to get another Neopolis from blonde, smiling. And I said to him, now let your hands go. Let them take a free fall.
Aww.
Other arm.
See, you should know the size that should fit there.
Take your shirt off.
Now we put the penny loafers of Roger Schultz underneath that, okay? Would look good, eh? This is original. Look at the nice and easy cut ones done by machinery. And look at the hand cut ones about half the way up. And you can tell what this was like in 1967 when I first came here. And the rest was done in the last 10 years. They have beautifully done it. And these are all numbered, as you can see from the side, so they know where the puzzle fits. and if we go closer to the temple next.
This is a sacrificial table that he's pointing out up above. And up there is where we had our pictures taken.
Now you can see the colors very beautifully. This wall and all that is local andesite stone. It's a calcareous kind of stone in that color, very locally extracted. You can also see the old marble and the new additions next to it as well. Marble was always recycled in several places, so it was in demand at all. Egg of fertility from Ephesus, from Artemis. And let's go for the best view. Please take all your pictures first, then I will explain. You can turn around and take the temple down below. Let me get in front and explain to you certain things from this angle. No, we're not going to. Don't worry. We're doing things a little differently this year.
Thank you, Aydın.
All right? We cannot repeat the same. I counted last night before going to sleep. We've done 12 things differently this year.
Yes, every day.
And I will give the count to you later on how we did that. 12 things differently this year. When you're all finished with your pictures, I need your attention, please. But this is what you can see from miles away. The pediment of the Temple of Trajan. Trajanium, they call it. And I will bring you to the very bottom of this so you can see the substructure. Remember what I was telling you, that they had extended the cliffside.
You're okay. Go ahead.
With the substructure, which you are noticing in front of us here to the left. And that way they have extended this platform to accommodate this men-built platform over which they built the Temple of Trajan. Bless you, Father Tom.
Thank you.
I can see Frank's tree by the city walls.
Yep.
I've been busy. Ready my seed.
Wow.
Okay, where was the temple of
Where you cannot see it yet. We will see. Yes, we will get there. Okay, a little closer now, please. Now that all the pictures are done. Anyone been to Santorini? Okay, you should go there. Those who haven't. Santorini, everyone, is volcanic. Have you seen Akrotiri when you were in Santorini? Good. Now that is...
Oops.
And then I'm going to invite you to come to see the substructure.
This is the substructure of the Temple of Trajan.
Now you've got Faithful followers. Bunlar değil, ben rehberiyim onların. Onun için biliyorum. They just found out I can understand them.
What were they saying?
Now they're all running away when you laugh. Life has its cute ways. Someone in our
That's the keystones.
times have put a little number on them, as if those stones will go away somewhere. They have numbered them, as you can see. And all this, only in our times they are storage. But originally this is just a substructure because we had storage areas like the ones I showed you coming along. Okay? So this was not built as storage, but just a vaulting system to carry all that fantastic extended talk about
Temple of
you can see
Athena here.
again the same explanation. The lead was poured here to make these pieces one on top of each other. Now the best view of the theater behind us. Let's have a look at it, please. Is the Greek, somehow or the other.
Here we are at
Because I
the
love studying dates,
theater.
Buradan gel.
And you can hear them as he's trying to be heard. What he's doing. And they have wooden pillars carrying the stage, stuck through those holes. Because the view here is so gorgeous whenever
The 2nd century AD tower over
just
the
the
theater.
length of that stage from the Bacchus temple to the left is like 200 meters, that's 600
There's the
feet.
stage.
Huge stage with sort of little kiosks at the bottom for souvenirs of what they had. So all that hillside, if you look to my left,
Standing around, and here's the view.
those arches are just what's sticking out. Because if you
They say over on the opposite side is
we may not
an
have
unexcavated as yet
the people who live
theater that could seat 50,000 people.
And there is, where Father Tom and Roger are standing, there is church in Pergamon, Father Tom. And
That's good.
because this is where the temple of Zeus was before it was taken to Berlin. And I have a nice book at home. It's beautiful, the way it is pieced together in the Berlin Museum, where the three trees are, only the steps are original, the rest is gone to Germany. But it was built around 190 BC, making history marked by the victory of the Pergamene people over the Galatians. Remember when we had passed through Galatia en route to Cappadocia, that part, Galatia? So they beat the Galatians, and in the memory of it, built this like an agora around it with the temple of Zeus to the Father God in the center. Yes, sir.
Okay. Remember that in about 90 to 100 AD, when the book of Revelation was written, we really don't know how large the community was here at Pergamon. Probably very small, maybe under 100, maybe somewhat over 100, maybe a couple of hundred. They would be meeting not at the Red Church or the Red Basilica or whatever. We don't know where they met, undoubtedly in houses. So this was not a letter to people who would be meeting in a particular place, but letter to a community, and would be read and heard and hopefully understood by them. So the letter to the church at Pergamum is the second letter in the book of Revelation, chapter 2, and the first one is, of course, to the church of Ephesus. So that might mean, in John's estimation, this was the number 2 prominent church, because certainly Ephesus would be number 1. So here it is. To the angel of the church in Pergamum write this: the one with the sharp, 2-edged sword says this: I know that you live where Satan's throne is, and yet you hold fast to my name, and you have not denied your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was martyred among you where Satan lives. Yet I have a few things against you. You have some people there who hold to the teachings of Balaam, who instructed Balak to put a stumbling block before the Israelites, to eat food sacrificed to idols, and to play the harlot. Likewise, you also have some people who hold to the teachings of the Nicolaitans. Therefore, repent. Otherwise, I will come quickly and wage war against them with the sword of my mouth. Whoever has ears to hear ought to hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the victor I shall give some of the hidden manna. I shall also give a white amulet upon which is inscribed a new name, which no one knows except the one who receives it. Lord, in many ways, we too are living in times that are dominated by the spirit of Satan, the spirit of greed and self-interest, the spirit that seeks violent ways of achieving our ends, the spirit that puts our goals above the book of creation and your revealed word. And so we ask you, Lord, to help us to remain faithful and steadfast. Keep our centers focused on you, so that we may all be united with one another in faith and in love. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Now a question might come, who was Balaam and who were the Nicolaitans? And I'm going to look that up in the notes.
But this is why, when I said on the bus, that if you don't know that the temple of Zeus is here, referred to as the Satan's throne, you will never understand the proximity of these ruins to the letter written to the angel of Pergamum. Alright? That's why I say, you guys see the place and you can put it all together. Okay, this is what's important. So, looking up the unknown is also very important. This is what we must all do to understand the scripture better, especially when it comes to teaching it. A normal tour of Pergamon is 45 minutes.
Can I say something quickly about Balaam?
Yes.
Yeah.
So far, it's been an hour and 35 minutes. And by the time we get to the bus, it'll be an hour and 45 minutes. So let's hear this quickly, and then we'll go straight to the bus, because I want to bring you down to the red courtyard, take pictures there, before we go to lunch. Yes, sir.
So, Balaam was in the book of Numbers and is also referred to in 2 Peter and Jude. And basically the prototype in the Old Testament of the religious compromiser, the one who tried to accommodate faith in God with paganism. And apparently the Nicolaitans were trying to do something of the same thing. They're referred to in or rather they abused the principle of liberty. Paul basically saw liberty as freedom to be faithful children of God. And they seemed to feel that the liberty brought by Christ was to do anything they wanted, which also kind of accommodates to the spirit of our times.
Yes.
So
Especially our times.
that's what those two references are.
Great. Thank you, Father Tom. This way, please. Because if we don't do this, then you will be...
Now, here is the Temple of Zeus. Overlooking the valley below.
Tower is on your left now, visible. Incredible angle.
How many people lost their lives building this?
Lots, probably. These were the extensions of the new theater they have discovered to the right of the arches.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
Look at this traffic on the... difficult to slow down here. You want to go as quickly as possible before the next bus comes on this hill. Yeah. The red courtyards to the right. It was built as early as the 2nd century BC. Dedicated to Isis as well as Serapis. It's like in our times, when you go to a different country, you have churches, mosques, synagogues. It's like that they built. Look at the city to the left, still not been excavated, all the walls. And the Temple of Isis around the 4th century AD, a portion of which in the center was used as a church. This is the bad corner. Oh, we made it. Thank you, Lord. This is a difficult corner here. This is the dam in front where you see the DSI lettering. And a part of it going uphill on the bike. A part of this temple was later on internally converted into a mosque without the addition of a minaret with loudspeakers, where the call to prayer comes from, is being used as a mosque. We will see it now. We'll have our picture taking session very soon. Good job. It's part of the church, but the church was in between, where you see the two brick works with some marble pieces.
The tower on the right is used now as a mosque. You see the
Isis temple.
this is the mosque, Isis temple.
All right, for our newcomers, the two tall walls in the center is part of the old church, and the two towers are 2nd century BC, as well as the rest of the structure. But the section in the center was used as the church, and the tower on the right is being used as a mosque now.
The one that's being used, still used as a...
Starting from the 4th century onwards, it was a church. That is where they're keeping the pieces that are excavated, like a storage house. It's newly built there.
Newly built.
What happened? Oh, I got
14th century Seljuk Bridge. We're going to be crossing over here.
Yes, good structure. We're going to stop at the same facility free of charge. And I will take you to the hospital of Asclepius following that, and then we'll sit down for lunch. That way we've done all the sightseeing, like enough for this, yes. Because it's not so easy after lunch doing sightseeing.
What's your name? What's your name?
Hello, hello.
Hola. Hello.
Merhaba. Merhaba. Merhaba.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Let me explain to you. I've never seen this. Let me tell you what it is. This is local gypsy entertainment day. You wouldn't find a regular Turkish conservative lady dancing like that in front of people she's never met before.
That's true.
The gypsies do it. Alright, so that's why they're fun people. And you could hear it coming, okay? So
You can hear it going too.
and I'm sure they had such ethnic groups back in the 2nd century AD as well. So this is something similar that's going on today. Now this street was just being excavated when I arrived here in '67. The local andesite stone is still visible. And the stones in the center is a little crooked, so be careful because there's the sewage right underneath it. What we'll do is we'll go to the end and see the place, and on the way back I'll give you time to meet back on the bus so you can get your books and things from here as well, all right? We'll have that time on the way back, and we better join the fun.
Here's the entrance to the Asclepion with shops on both sides on the main road.
Ya biraz şunlar çarpışsınlar da nasıl götürün istersen. Belki bu yapamazsın ama oynuyorlar, zıplıyorlar.
Farkındayım. Touching for too. Look at this little hole here, everyone. This is a natural way of getting rid of the sewage odors in the old days.
Huh.
Frank, I know you want to get there. Everyone, this is the building to the right would be the hospital library. So the patients would be given book therapy so they could read whatever was wrong with them to be able to cope with it better. For 3,500 patients, visitors, doctors, lecturers, it's a small Odeon theater where that kind of therapy went on. And then this is a hospital building, this is the Temple of Asclepius, both round to the left. Of course, the sign of Asclepius was that symbol of the snake which we talked about yesterday to the left. This beautifully was where therapy continued with mud baths, cold baths, hot baths, all of that. Before they will walk down where they are all gathered, there is the tunnel of therapy going underground, which you will see.
Oh my. Okay, now we're going into the tunnel of therapy.
Please come here, everyone. This is a sensational occasion. It's very hard to find. This is part of a marriage preparation on the part of the girl's side. She had henna on both her hands and feet, all of that, which is the local tradition. They come to wash it off in this natural water, thermal waters, which has been gushing ever since 2,400 years. And it's still running. It comes from there where they were washing, and it comes down here, and originally it continued on the floor here. Reason why they channeled it down below is that we're not using this space as therapeutic purposes today, but this is just showing the groups what it was like. And the reason why they had the water running through here was after the heat out there, you were trying to get rid of all that heat on your feet by walking on something cool as you went back to your hospital bed. There are also very interesting 12 holes, standard size as you will notice, squarish, representing the 12 Greco-Roman gods. Because remember, the healing came from the above, the way they believed in it, as we believe in it also. The 12 Greco-Roman gods are all represented with a hole, where they had doctors at the top, speaking to the patients as they walked under here to get to their hospital beds, saying things like, keep going, you'll get better, don't worry about it, okay? But please notice where you are walking as we look down is what I'm trying to say. Because the food, the floor space is not even, it's uneven. The floor is uneven. So then we will really need a hospital if you don't take care, okay? So be careful. Right.
240 feet long.
To the 2nd century AD, the way you're seeing it. Wow. It was used with a different plaster later on, which you see at parts.
Drain.
Yeah, sweet journal, that's right.
This would be the hospital building. Circular. Oh, this would be perhaps the archway around it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those 2 round buildings I showed you. This is the hospital building. Of course, there has been restoration here. You can see the steel bars which are carrying the weight on that side. But originally it's stone on top of stone, as you can see over there. And there are certain parts where the blocks are broken, like big indentations. That's how they were holding from that side, by putting long wooden sticks like the weightlifters do, so they could carry it easier from one place to the other with those big blocks. And the round building with the old pipes, this has been restored here, as you can see, with the mortar in between. But down at the bottom it's all original, and this is how the sewage system works around here. We'll walk over it very soon. If you look from where I stand to the very back, you can see there are 3 columns. They're Doric in style towards the olive trees. All that hillside is still the hospital. This is a huge complex. I'm talking about a place where they had 3,500 seats for that Odeon theater. So at least a place for that many number of patients is what we're looking up to. As I said, this is the largest hospital complex on Asia Minor. There were 2 other ones on Greek mainland, and this is going back to the 4th century BC. Now let's walk around this building, please. This way, please. It's a wedding ceremony because the kids are saying we better get back, otherwise the wedding ceremony people are going to go away and we'll be left behind. So now I'm 100% sure, okay? You can see the netting they put in the corner there to stop from falling down the rocks. But this is an amazing building. If you look at that end, you can still see the sewage pipes sticking out from the second story. And this is the base of the building. The real building is on top of this. It used to be at least, but now only the substructure remains. And the next building, as round as this, was dedicated to Asclepius, the god of healing. So let's go up to that level where you can see the 12 holes from the top.
There's the tunnel again. Now we're going upstairs. Here's the top of the round building, which is basically the building he said would have been on top. This was a hospital. And here is the first hole of the tunnel. And this is the call to prayer from Aydın's mosque. Well, here is where we stopped for lunch in Bergamo. It was a nice place. And Aydın went for prayer, midday prayer at this mosque, which, it turns out, is his mosque. Hi. Hi, everyone. So, Aydın, what do you think about the tour so far?
It goes better with a chocolate ice cream.
Oh, yes. I think we're going to wait until the first rest stop and have dessert then. But, all
We're
right.
having a great time.
We are having a great time. That is true. What do you think of the tour so far?
I think I'm glad I'm not the bus driver.
Oh, wasn't that something today?
It's been a wonderful experience.
And Anne, how are you enjoying?
Emotional.
Good.
For a second time.
It's almost better the second time than it was the first time.
Oh, it's
Oh,
much
boy.
better. From my perspective, it's much better the second time.
Because we've had some adventures we didn't have last year that are irreplaceable.
Here we are in Bursa. The Chevrolet dealer greeting us. So here's what the Caravanserai hotel looks like. My room in the early morning. Well, not quite so early. This is the 14th century hammam, or Turkish bath, which is attached to the hotel.
Birinci devre. Şu an birinci devrede. Bu şekilde. İki. Böyle. İki istemiyorum. Şu böyle.
The streets are full of Turkish flags. Most shops are closed, as you can see. Some will open after 9 o'clock. Down the mountain.
The Jami Mosque.
And a new shopping mall next door. Well, behind, it's not quite next door. But that's the hillside. Please watch the traffic passing by as you leave the bus. We'll go into the mosque right away.
the ablution fountains, and here are the funeral tables for the mosque. And we are heading towards the entrance.
Leave it with him. Remember, this was the word I used starting to read all the prayers before the prayer starts. In the name of Allah, the God, the most merciful and the beneficent, is what it means. This is how it is spelled, of course, with the long Roman lettering. That's the difference. Bless you. And it's from this surah, and it's verses, numbers here, and the kids running around, they read from these verses, and this is part of their education as well. What I meant when I explained to you the difference in the architecture when we were in Istanbul, that the first style of a mosque that existed in Bursa is the last mosque we will visit, a very small one. So this is like 20 of those small mosques put together with 20 domes raised on 12 arches, 12 pillars, in the center of which you find this interesting ablution fountain, which is rather unusual. It comes with a story. A lady owned that piece of land. The Sultan, Bayezid, wanted to have this mosque built, but she wasn't willing to sell it. So they built the mosque around it. But eventually, one of the religious people in town spoke to her, and she had a vision as a result of this conversation, and she then gave it for free to the Sultan. So then they built this fountain around it with a glass dome on top where the light comes from. This is basically Ottoman medieval architecture, as you may call it. So it's totally different than any other mosque. It's got a name of its own as a category. They call it Ulu Jami style. Ulu Jami simply means grand mosque. In the grand mosque style, you have this type, but there are several Ulu Jami throughout Turkey today. And they're all very different, but the largest mosque in town always received the title of Ulu Jami, and this is where the name comes from, meaning the grand mosque at the same time. And then down below you see the extension of that balcony section, which is like a madrasa, a small school for teaching the kids from the Quran. They have taken away the 75 centimeter long pen with which they wrote this scripture. It's a wooden one, like this in length, and it's about so wide to make the letters at the bottom portion. And where you see the nail empty is where it's supposed to be hanging, but because of the restoration it's not there now. And then what's interesting about this script is that it's symmetrical. If you cut it in the center and you open it sideways like the pages of a book, you can read it symmetrically from both sides. Oh Allah is what it reads. And at the bottom you can see the date when it was written, because those are different. There's no symmetry in that at the bottom, you see. And then, actually, that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 7, that's a 5. So like 1275 in the Arabic calendar. Today is 1428 this year. So whatever that comes to is the date shown at the bottom. But maybe you see in the very center a portion like this, which they have erased it like, or they have repainted over it, because it had some special meaning, like a scripture praising the Sultan during whose reign it was made. But there was a new law passed in Turkey in 1927, so praising the Sultans was abolished. So they even erased that from the script. When you look at it, it's very interesting in the very center. At the top, you are seeing calligraphy in the way as if it is a whirling dervish turban at the very top. Remember those turbans?
Here's a view from the other side.
All the time.
Aydın asked me to get a close-up of this one, and he will
That one
tell us what it means.
full house.
The seal of the Sultan.
Because this is also conservative. Not as conservative as Roma. Look at the symmetry on that one. How beautifully that is done. You are beginning to see the Turkish triangles, which I will explain more when we will see them in the Green Mosque and in the Mosque of Alaaddin later on. But it was time for some painting job, as you can see, so they're finally doing it, and it's good to see that. There's a lot of restoration work going on in Turkey, tremendous restoration, anywhere you go. But the other big water, of course, is not drinkable
Tapestry.
water. That's what it says.
Not in the pond. We are leaving.
Dur daha gitme. Gitme. Hepsi geldiyse bile yok. Atatürk. This is where the crowd is. And so, if you are here in Köprü'yü yavaş geçelim abi. Look at this restored 17th century house on the left. This one here looks beautiful. The creek is down below. Look at it to the right, everyone. Below, beautifully done. The garden there, down below.
It's lovely.
Yes, and look at the mountain now, where all the houses are built over the slopes, as you can see. This is Green Bursa, as I explained earlier on. Tamam abi, çok güzel. 10 dakika sonra gelsek oradan geçmemiz mümkün değil ha. Restoration in front.
Mausoleum, the restoration.
Remember, I showed this to you with my DVD. Biz ileri düz gideceğiz. Git abiciğim.
That's the tomb, and it's closed for restoration.
and a combination of turquoise blue has given this mosque the name green. Bursa is green, this is its green mosque. And the tiles, if you look at it from here, so the lights above you do not distract you, in the imperial box are the best tiles from the beginning of the 15th century. The mosque is 1412 and 1419. It took 7 years to build it. And those are done by the Tabriz artists. Remember when we were in Istanbul, we went to the archaeological museum and visited this newly opened tile here, which I said, remember these isn't tiles there. And when I said to you, that is 15th century, some of the tiles there, this is as early as you can find Iznik tiles. So they were done by the masters from Iran who brought the art and taught the people in Iznik. So they made the rest of the tiles. Those tiles belong to the Iznik masters, but the top portion was done by the people from Tabriz in Iran. And you can see the green tiles, some of which are losing their quality.
Umbrella dome.
With Turkish triangles underneath, appearing
This is the
on the side.
one side
That's
dome.
a switch like a pendentive with honeycomb designs inside. But then you begin with the Turkish triangles, especially in the front and right above us. These are triangles in different formats. Of course, triangle was never invented by the Turks, but was used by the Turks for the first time in architecture. This is why they are referred as Turkish.
This is the central dome.
Especially when you have a square base
And the other side
and you
dome.
want to reach to a circular dome, you either use a pendenti or a squinch, or you use triangles to get to make the transition. So this is why in the early format you are seeing triangles, which you see in very few mosques in Istanbul from the 15th century, because all the rest were based on Saint Sophia with pendentives. Now the next important thing is the keystone in the middle of the arch. Very beautiful, gold gilt, the way it's placed. And you can see the side keystones with these arches made of tiles. And then we have two elevated sections on the sides, the prayers and the Fridays
Symmetrical Allah
and to the
inside
left,
the person.
the chanters, the preacher's box. And the chanter in our times uses that section on the back of his chant. Now we also have two very interesting side on both sides, which were used.
This is a side room.
The writing in the front there, where you see the rosaries, reads, "Hope you will look after our historical monuments and be good to the ecology and no graffiti, please," is what that means. Now this is an interesting part of the side view. You can see the traditional meander river design all throughout, as well as the swastika design, which is a derivation of that, if you will remember. And this is done on some kind of limestone, this whole thing here. And when you look at it, you would say say this is the direction to Mecca. But in fact it's not. Because remember, that's where the prayers reaches. And that's the direction of all these carpets. So that's the way to Mecca. So what is all this about? At the time when they built this mosque, this side room was being used for educational purposes. Like they would have students here, so these were like bookshelves. And they would have little oil lamps here and there to light this side room. Not these energy saver lights that we have today. Of course, when you look to the top, you can see this umbrella dome. Hopefully they will do the restoration of the green mausoleum first, and then this one next, all of it, because it's high time that it needs that. And again, the tiles here are proving to us that the early students were, after all, not the masters from Islam. So they're losing their quality, as I'm sure you can notice. But if you look at the 16th century tiles, or the 17th century tiles in the blue mosque from Islam, they're perfect. The cave near Mecca, where Muhammad received the first verses of the Revelation. Watch the step here. I want to show you something. Otherwise, it'll be boring for our keepers. Is this all of us? Are we all here?
Yeah, 3 are not coming.
Okay, 3 not coming. This is a section. Take pictures, but no photography is allowed. Off the record. Just taking these pictures below, or else they may all want to come here. So this is the Sultan's box. The side sections would be for the ladies with the iron bars in front, but they're not to be seen. This is most decorative. This is the highest quality. Heavy styling is what you're seeing here. And look at the Star of David right here. So you may find in some mosques people not knowing this is part of our faith, thinking that's a Jewish symbol. They're trying to erase them off from the mosque. So this education is our number one problem, everyone. People not understanding the faith correctly and applying the way they have seen it from their elders. This is why in the Quran, excuse me, the stipulation is, are you going to continue doing the wrong thing? If your parents were doing the wrong thing, are you going to continue doing the wrong thing? Why don't you think for yourself what God wants from you and do what is right rather than follow something that may not be right? So, in many parts of the Quran it says, we have given you wisdom and a brain to think and to reason out and to understand. Not too many people seem to realize that. This is the keystone I told you about. Look at the beautiful stars of David, the way they are raised. Do you see that now? You cannot see it from down below. I'm glad he negotiated that we could come up here. So they roll the And look at the minaret, the seesaw design, remember, and the brickwork, all early 15th century. It's an extensive silk bazaar inside, and I will show you when we go inside what section.
And this is a house in the building where the silk shop is. It's amazing to look at the restoration from the outside because it goes way back there. What looks like several houses. Yeah, it's the one place. All these young women climbing off the bus for the National Children's Day celebration here in Bursa. It's actually the Turkish Independence Day, which is why there's so little traffic around.
Oh, down
Here is a panorama of
You see,
Bursa.
the Children's Day is being celebrated in the soccer stadium.
Oh, yes.
Look to the
They're
front
coming
right.
in.
You can see all
You can
the
hear the
action
music.
going on.
Oh, yes.
You can hear the music.
They're just filing in now.
They're just doing folkloric shows, whatever. That's the Muradiya Mosque with 2 minarets and 2 domes. The father of Mehmet II, Murat, is buried in there. But this, from right to left, if you're video doing, is your best angle to understand what Bursa is all about. Look at the mosque at the top of the hill, newly built. Don't know where that mosque is. Because it's in the back street. They will never see it.
Sign on the side of the house here. And that's the store, the old Ottoman house. Going up the street. I think that in front of us is the Aydın Pasha Mosque.
Yeah.
This is a brand new explanation they have played.
Mosque, so
Remember, it's
here's the
Byzantine. If you look through the sides, rail bars, and you look above the entrance gates, you can see Corinthian ones that you see
Corinthian
on both
capital.
sides, recycled. This like is buried on this side. You come and look through here.
this is where Aydın Pasha
Inside.
and his son are
The
buried.
prayers niche, Turkish triangle left as we go downhill. It opens into a courtyard first before the house comes. Like the house we will. Yes. Ablamı da alacağız, onu da götürüyoruz İstanbul'a. Onu ben buraya çıkmadan buraya getirdim.
Going towards Iznik.
Ben yokken yalnız kalmasın diye anlıyorsunuz. Ben çünkü sabah akşam ya ararım ya giderim yanına. Ataköy'de oturuyor, bana yakın.
Senin nerede baba?
Ataköy'de.
Gemlik
This is a famous
and the Sea of Marmara.
silkworm growing part of the country, other than the olive trades. It's the Bay of Gemlik.
Here is the road.
We said we'll be here at 12. It's 2 minutes past. We're getting there.
It is right up in front.
2 dakika geç kaldık abi. 12'de geleceğiz.
Village cemetery.
Burası zeytinyağı köyü abi. Burası hep zeytin ağaçları gördüğünüz gibi. Köy meydanında kahve var. O kahvenin orada duracağız. Orada zaten ileri geri dönüşmemiş yapması kahve. Bizim girdiğimiz evi görün, dikkat edin. Beyler park edip ters çevirin arabayı, gelin eve, tamam mı? Devam et abi, devam et. Çal bir korna. They cannot believe to see a tourist bus come into this village here. This doesn't happen here. Abi soldan gidiyoruz.
Oraya yol.
Var abi, var. O arabanın önüne gideceksin abi.
Bu arabanın önüne gidecek de bu tarafa da toprak yıkmışlar.
Peki abi.
Yanıtı var. Buraya biraz zor.
Evet, onu yeni yapmışlar. Böyle bir durum yok abi. Biz inelim abi.
Araba
Siz
sen-
ileriden dönüş. He's 88.
Exactly, 88. Coming to greet us.
That's the village cafe where we stopped last time. They're doing some road works here, which makes the passage a little tight for our driver. Geçmez mi? İndireyim mi yolcu ya? Beklemeyelim adamı.
Here we are in the center of the village. Driving the car away. Food coming out to meet us. And a mosque in the background. Doggy, look at you too. The wood and the mud brick in this house.
Olmaz, hepsini sık, hepsini hoş geldiniz. Frank, this is Abidi. Alright. Ablacığım bu da var, bak bu da by Frank. Angela, come out. Alright.
Doğru yukarı çıkar.
Tamam. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, fine. It's a funny one.
Biraz internet yapalım hemen abla, fazla uzatmayacağız. This is a historic moment. For those of you in Ola, when you take this back, please tell them that you've been to this house. Böyle. Sen onu ver, ben bunu veriyorum. That's the drink.
Oh, it's your Ford. Thank you.
Abidi made this herself. This is home cooking done this morning.
Thank you.
This is very Turkish style. This is as Turkish as it gets. Very, very
Good. Good.
İçinde peynir mi var bunda? It's got cheese inside. Tamam. Here we are. When you bring a group bigger than this, we go back to the cafe all the time.
Yeah.
So we keep it small.
We hope next year it'll be.
I measured
size.
this in my mind. When you said 18, it'll fit in the
Okay.
house, is what I said.
Wonderful. Thank you. Teşekkür.
Afiyet olsun.
Yes.
Buyurun.
Frank's fruit.
Thank you.
Those are all that.
Hadi getir.
İkişer tane istersin.
Tamam.
Which one is your sister?
She's where is she? She's the one who I was hugging at the entrance. Remember? Very cool. Introduce you again. These are the drinks. Peach juices.
Buyurun.
Yes. All right.
Oh, thank you so much. Aydın buraya bırakayım Aydın.
Here we are. Abidik, sen yaptığın çörekten yemeyecek mi?
Ben çok yedim yaparken yavrum. Teşekkür ederim.
Ama yine iyi.
She always says this. I said, why don't you have some with us? She says, when I'm cooking, I eat at the same time. Tasting it, you know. She's the taster. Allah razı olsun. Allah razı olsun. Biraz bizi bu eve kabul ettiğiniz için. Necati abi. Teşekkür
Hepiniz
ederim.
hoş geldiniz. Beni çok memnun ettiniz. Bugünü hiç unutmayacağım. Hiç unutmayacağım.
She will never
Hepinizden
forget
Allah razı
today.
olsun. Çok teşekkür ederim.
You've made her very happy.
Çok teşekkür ederim.
Allah razı olsun. Ya bak sığdık gördün mü? Söyledim sana biraz sıkı. Daha iyi onlar. Kimse kıpırdayacak hali kalmadı.
You can tell her that we're fond of you.
You are?
I think I speak for everybody.
What is the question again?
I thought of that.
You can ask her any question you like. Şimdi niye gülüyorlar biliyor musunuz?
Tabii.
Necati abi.
Allah çok güldürsün inşallah.
And she just said, may God give you happiness forever so you can always have a laughing life. Is what she just said.
Thank you.
Teşekkür ederim diyor. Dedi ki hanım, küçükken acaba nasıl bir çocuktu diye şimdi Abidi'ye soruyor. Ben de dedim ki nasıl olsa onun vereceği cevabı ben tercüme edeceğim için ona göre durumu söylerim dedim. Bak nasıl gülüyor anladı. She understood the translation part as I started saying. Söyle bakalım ben nasıl bir çocukmuşum onu soruyorlar.
Biraz yaramazdın ama dolaba kilitlerdim.
She says,
Sonra uslu çıkardı dolaptan.
she says, you were a nice boy but a rascal. And she used to lock me up when I was too much of that. And one place which was safe I couldn't get out of because I would get out of many places
Yaramazlık yaptığın zaman
was the
kilitliyordun.
small washroom we had, which has a little window. Because I was kept there about half an hour, I would eventually start singing. So the neighbors then would know that I was being put in there all day. Once I started singing, they would get the message. Okay?
Bir daha alabilirsin de, bir daha al.
Anlattım beni tuvalete nasıl kapattığını, şarkı söylediğini. Have another one, please.
Meşrubat çok var, içebilirler.
Everyone, you have two.
Meşrubat çok var,
You don't
içebilirler.
want to eat it now, wrap it up, take it with you.
It's a good idea.
Dedim ki, herkese 2 tane yaptı. Dolayısıyla hepsini şimdi yemeyin, alın götürün dedim öbürküne again too.
How the village
A lot
has changed.
of young ones have moved to the cities.
Dediğiniz kadar götürebilirsiniz, çok var. Çok yaptım.
You can-
Afiyet olsun.
Please take them with you, she says. Everyone.
Thank you.
And so now, because the cities are close by, they've gone for work and they have settled in the city. So basically, the elders are the ones who live here. That's a major change.
Paket bitti galiba.
So Father Tom, how would you rate this over last year's visit? Is the question.
How would I rate it?
Yes.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
so-
this is a lot different than last year. So, what do you think?
Well, it's wonderful to be here in this house, and it's wonderful to meet your nanny herself. And it's beautiful. Last year's experience was a wonderful one, sitting out in the nice fresh air of the park. And
Kim gelsin?
this year's, it's wonderful to be here with the family.
Let me translate that. Geçen sene diyor geldik diyor, çok diyor güzel diyor, orada dışarıda kahvenin orada oturduk ama bu sefer ufak grup Aydın dedi ki eve sığarız diye. Eve geldik, çok daha memnun olduk çünkü sizi böyle yakından görmüş olduk, tanımış olduk, daha iyi oldu. Çok mutlu olduk diyor.
Ben daha çok mutlu olduk. Çok çok teşekkür ederim.
You've made her very, very, very happy.
Thank you. You have made us very, very happy.
Sen de bizi çok mutlu ettin. Yengeye de, Necati abiye de hepinize çok teşekkür ediyorlar. Bütün emeği geçenlere.
Afiyet olsun. Afiyet olsun.
Allah razı olsun yengeciğim.
Who selected the carpet?
Misafir gelsinler, buyursunlar.
This is why we take the
Sen
shoes
buraya gel.
off going
Buraya
into
gel.
the house.
Çeker.
This is the
Sen
style.
buraya otur işte.
But the view behind in that direction of the Lake Nicaea is beautiful. And they always have fresh air here because it's the beginning of the mountain.
Not today.
Doesn't take long. Kiss. Öpücük yap bakalım.
Öpücüklere.
She's never seen the south so full. She can't get over
Dede
it.
öpücükler dede. Hacı dede.
Şaşırdı şimdi bakıyor
Hadi
herkes.
şeyler çakınca
Poor all the strange people.
Yeah, my daughter. This is Jana and Yusuf. Yusuf is like Yosh. This is in 2003. Ocean down below. There's a basin there. Then you can watch that, and then we'll get going. How's that? Because we don't want to be too late. Teşrif is the oldest daughter of Necati, and this is the husband. And there's Gülçin in the back, and the little, her grandchild is the next daughter of him. And then her daughter and the baby's mother is there as well. Right? She was running around. So that's everyone in this house.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bay bay.
Bye bye. Okay.
Bay bay.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bay bay.
Dayda'ya. Dayda bak çocuk Dayda'da.
Düşmesinler. Öyle. Ateş gücün tut.
Benim omzuma tutun bana. Bana tutun. Tutun bana dayan. Hadi gel. Hadi gel.
Roger. Hayırlı yolculuk.
Bye bye and thank you.
Sevgili var.
Teşekkür. Thank you.
Biz teşekkür ederiz. Hayırlı yolculuk.
Efendim. Gelir misin anne?
Trellises for the soul.
These are all
Zeytin merdivenler.
ladders
Ladders
Zeytin merdivenler. Aydın.
to pick the olives.
to pick olives. Okay.
That's why it's like that.
Herhalde.
Aydın. Buna da zeytin dökülüyor. Taze zeytin tek tek ayıklanıp bunların içine atılıyor.
Everyone, this is what you're doing, what I'm going to do. I'm going to wash the hands, the face, go behind the ears,
Make it behind you so
and
that
the
we can
neck,
see.
and the arms up to here, and then I will do my feet. Alright? That's the ritual cleansing that is needed before you start the prayer. In case you have been to a toilet, you have to repeat it. So you are bodily all cleansed up before you do the prayer, okay? Okay. İnşallah patlamasın abla.
Yok onlara patlat
Bu da patlamaz inşallah.
İbrahim deden nerede?
Rinsing them out, I forgot to tell you. Blowing the nose.
Ay gelmem de. Bak oradan.
Wash the face. Go over the hair and behind the neck. The ears, inside and out, and then up to the elbows. And then we dry out. Okay.
Haydi. Teyze. Hadi teyze bay bay. Bay bay efendim. Bay bay. Bay bay.
Now, when you're doing this outside, do you have a towel? You bring your towel?
You bring your towel if you want. Otherwise, you will stay wet. This is not the most ideal place to do
Bay bay
this,
yapsana anneciğim bak.
but I will try. Then you wash the feet. Abla havluyu hazırladın mı? Ayak havlusu. Bu mu ayak havlusu? Tamam.
Aşkım bak. Bay bay.
And do you say prayers while you're doing this? Or?
Yes, you do say prayers while you're doing all this. Bunu tut abla. Çorabı nereye koydun?
Evet gidiyorlar.
Bay bay gidiyorlar.
The baby is saying they're going. They learn fast. Ablacığım Allah razı olsun.
Geldi.
Buraya kısmetmiş. Sana havlu tutmak. Burada abdest almak nasip bir şey.
Evet anneciğim. Evet. Evet.
Hadi bakalım.
Evet. Hayır. Hayır.
Buyur ablacığım Allah razı olsun. Abidik hiçbir eşyanı unutma. Hadi toparlan. Gidiyoruz arabaya. Bavullarını götürdün mü? Alright, now we go back to the bus please. Bavulların nerede?
Okay, bye bye. Bye bye.
Bay bay de.
Bye bye.
Dede bay bay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that is cute. The last one.
Gel annem. Gel annem. Hoppa.
Hadi bay bay yap. Bay bay yap.
Küçük yap hepsini.
Bye bye.
Bay bay. Güle.
Kız gitti.
Güzelden gitti.
She's coming to OLA.
OLA. All right.
Hadi gel anneciğim gidiyorlar. Bay bay. Bay bay yapalım. Bay bay yapalım.
Al içeri git yoksa ağlar.
Bay bay yap hadi. Bay bay.
Yok ağlamaz. Bay bay.
Bay bay. Bak.
Bay bay.
Dedeye bak.
Bak.
Bye bye.
Dedeye bay bay yap. Hadi. Bay bay.
Öpücükler.
Evet.
Öpücükler.
Ahmet'i, Ahmet'i.
Bekliyoruz inşallah İstanbul'a. Allah nasip ederse.
Ahmet. Havanın bol.
Yavrum tamam hafif mi?
Kaç zannediyordum ben seni evvel gitmeyeceğim. Ay ne yapacağız şimdi biz? Ay Allah ısmarladık. Güle güle bir tane. Hadi gel. Hadi.
Ablacığım seni oturtuyorum.
May Allah go with you.
Ben de helal olsun. Ne kadar da helal olsun. Allah iyi günler versin güle güle. Anladın mı Aydın?
Yes. Diyor ki Allah seninle beraber olsun. Rica ederim.
Hep beraber.
Güle güle yavrum. Allah helal olsun versin.
Okay, ya.
Allah helal olsun versin.
Geçen yaz gene gelmişti bu ikinci gelişi.
Ankara'da-
This is your second time.
Başkadan
olacak.
gidiyorsun lan.
O başkan sakallı olan o da
Ha,
gelmişti.
tamam, geldim.
Bu değil mi Aydın abi?
Bu sakallı olan ha bu. Oydu başkan.
Tahmin ettim.
Bu küçük hanım da var. Bunu unutma. Hadi bakalım.
Seneli yani onlar.
Onlar önce bilsin ben seni oturtacağım abla bir yer bulacağım.
Her zaman bekliyorum.
Biliyorum.
bu da gelsin.
Seni almadan gitmeyeceğiz zaten. Hayır. Aleykümselam söyledim.
Kişilik koltuk da var rahat rahat.
Biliyorum abi otursunlar biraz yan yana. Şuradan İzni'ye kadar gideceğiz. Şuraya. Araba boş. Her yere oturursun abla. Gel bu hanım iyi bir hanım. Bunun yanına otur. Tamam mı ablacığım? Tamam. Çantanı da yukarı koy. O dursun kucağın. Tamam. Ha?
Yolcumuz tamam.
Tamammış yolcu.
Hadi yine Allah'a ısmarladık.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hadi. It doesn't get more Turkish than that.
Doesn't get more Turkish than that, he says.
Şu Renault'u oraya koymuş gitmiş ya.
Procession is going on. Dur diyor abi. Dur.
Şu tarafa aç.
Now the body is going to the mosque and they will pray for the deceased in the mosque. And then they will take her back. This is a lady with the scarf on. And they will bury her in the cemetery which we just passed. I've been here in the last 55 years, never seen a burial cemetery taking place when I was here.
So we see the gypsy wedding, and now the
After the gypsy wedding, this is new for me also.
So where are the
And they will prepare the food for those who